I still can't believe we found this place.
It's perfect, isn't it? Almost as perfect as you look right now.
The night before, I still remember the rain that soaked through my car windshield, the city lights coming and going as if the world was falling. I had just returned from a long, exhausting shift at work, where silence was the only thing on earth. My apartment, usually the one where I feel comfortable and at ease, filled me with excitement. Upon entering the house with the door open, I saw my ex's mother sitting on my couch, covered in water, shivering, and red eyes from the tears. I thought I was in a dream, but there was something wrong with her. Her hands were clasped tightly, her shoulders shaking under the light from my living room lamp. She looked up at me, her lips scrambling before she whispered something that almost hit him. Before we proceed, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and the idea of a second chance, please feel free to subscribe to our channel and let us know how you feel. We'll continue to share heartfelt stories about someone who shattered hearts. For almost 3 years, I hadn't seen her since the night her daughter Emily and I broke up. She used to treat me like a child, offering warm hugs and even warming up my dinner. However, after the breakup, it was as if that family had vanished from my consciousness. It was an incredible feeling to finally see her face again. Despite my lack of blame, I couldn't help but feel something inside when I saw her, vulnerable, lost, and alone. The agony, the lingering longing, and the stillness of unrequited farewell. I brought her down and saw the wet suitcase by her side. Her eyes shone when I inquired if she was okay, as though she couldn't handle it. She appeared thinner than I had remembered, her previous confident countenance now a silent, defeated slump. I made her tea that night, gave her my warm blanket, and let her sit by the heater while I tried to make sense of it all. She didn't speak much and simply sat there staring at me. But then, after a while, she suddenly began to speak slowly, to such an extent that I could barely hear her even when she told me she had lost her place. Her husband, who had always been a source of strength and pride, had left her for another woman. During that time, she lost the home she had built and had no other home to call her own, leaving her with only the person she never thought she would ever come across. I was unsure of what to say. I listened attentively. There were times when the sky was clear and the city was quiet. She recounted that she had thought of contacting Emily, but hadn't heard from her in a long time. There was a dispute about Emily's new partner and the choices she was making, and I could sense the agony in her eyes when she talked about her daughter. I felt remorse, anxiety, worry, but I also recognized my love for her and her family. Despite the events that took place between us, I couldn't forget the years we spent together and the fact that our family once felt like a part of me. In the days that followed, she stayed with me, and we chatted about everything in our lives over the coffee. Gradually, everything started happening again, but the walls slowly began to crumble away. At times, I'd see her smiling faintly, and her heavy eyes would lighten up. But every night when she thought I wasn't around, she sat on the couch and waited for a message from Emily, and it left me heartbroken. I understood the feeling of waiting for someone who had moved on. When I returned home from work, I found her in the kitchen, where she was cooking. The aroma of roasted vegetables and garlic evoked memories of the nights spent with her family at a nearby restaurant, complete with laughter, and the assurance that the world would be better than ours. Upon seeing me, she glanced upward and acknowledged that she only wished to show me appreciation, but I didn't. The place felt more alive when she was around. She opened up more and more as time went on. She shared with me previously unheard of anecdotes, like how Emily used to sit with her as a little girl and make sure she never left her. She misses her daughter who still believed her mother could handle everything. After dinner, she gave me her phone. She had written a message that said, "I'm sorry I miss you, I just want to talk to you." She looked at me in despair and asked if I thought she should send it. Thankfully, I did. Sometimes pride can be a painful armor. She hit send. The next few days were quieter, no response. The disappointment in her face was something I saw, a kind of disappointment that goes unmentioned. However, one day, as the sun went down, Emily's phone rang. The message was uncomplicated. "Where are you?" Her hands trembled as she read it aloud. She looked at me and asked, "What do you even think about?" I smiled and responded, "Tell her the truth." That person came that night. I won't lie, seeing her again after all this time felt like a dream. She was different, older, and in some ways more reserved than she had been. We caught sight of each other briefly, and I could sense the weight of everything we had shared. The topic was no longer about us. It was about a mother and her daughter who had lost touch with each other. When Emily saw her mother sitting on my couch, she froze. The air was heavy with history and regret. Her mother's initial expression was silent tears that seemed to be the outcome of years of pain. Emily stood there at first, her eyes wide open, and then she broke. They held each other for what felt like an endless amount of time. It was one of the most beautiful and painful things I'd ever seen. They conversed for hours that night, and I stayed in the kitchen, listening to their hushed whispers against the wall. There were moments of laughter and tears, but then the night came to a close. Over the next few days, Emily began visiting more frequently. She aided her mother in finding a new apartment, and it was heartening to watch them rebuild their relationship. It reminded me that love doesn't fade away, but rather endures when someone dares to move on. In the midst of it all, I and Emily found closure. We talked about forgiving, but not reuniting immediately. She acknowledged that I had held her responsible for some of my past misfortunes. I confessed to letting go after I held myself accountable for the lack of emotional support. After her mother moved into a small apartment just blocks away, I aided her in setting up the furniture, adjusting the curtains, and getting comfortable. When I left that evening, she embraced me and said, "I won't forget about that. You were the one who did it." I redirected my attention towards myself, realizing that being nice wasn't a weakness. Occasionally, I'd receive an email from her mother thanking me or showing appreciation by posting pictures of Emily and myself. However, when I looked back, it was by chance. I was reminded of how compassion can be found in anything. It's a paradoxical situation. If you find this story touching, please feel free to like, comment, share, and sub-upload it on social media. Your contribution will help spread the love and understanding of this tragic story to others. Thank you so much for sharing your story with such heartfelt support. Let me know if you have the chance to share your story of meeting someone from your past who has left a lasting impression on you. It's amazing how people can remind us that kindness is never futile and forgiveness is still present even when it seems like the only way to move forward. Thank you, Kristen. Do you remember when you were in high school or early adulthood?